Welcome to another episode of the Law Firm Altering Hiring and Empowering Solutions podcast. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. And if you're a first-time listener, hopefully you'll become a long-time listener. As always, I'm your show host, Molly McGrath, founder of Hiring and Empowering Solutions and creator of this revolutionary podcast. You can check us out at hiringandempowering.com. I'm so excited about today's episode. We're going to dive right in, and we're going to be talking about the bold new standard, how adding specialized counsel attorneys can transform your law firm. And my guest today is JD Houvener, the founder and CEO of Bold IP. JD started Bold IP with one mission: to enable inventors to improve our world. Their clients are inventors, entrepreneurs, and scientists that are pushing the limits, doing what hasn't been done before, and taking risks in the spirit of progress and positive change. Bold IP currently has over 40 offices with world-class patent attorneys nationwide. And JD's revolutionary law firm model is absolutely the wave of the legal future. We've been seeing it across the world in virtually every single industry out there. So you'll definitely want to take notes, or better yet, we're going to talk about how to get JD's book, Bold Ideas, at the end of today's show. So welcome to the show, JD. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Molly. I'm getting pumped up with that intro. That was great.
Well, I'm so excited because I know many times we had an episode a few weeks ago talking about how to really be niche specific in your practice and get out of that, what I call pay the rent law. And I think this just couples so nicely with that and really the wave of the future. So I would love for you to just tell us how you entered into this mission, passion-driven journey of transforming law firms and adding specialized counsel attorneys for so law firms can transform their practice model.
Totally. So I'd love to. Yeah. I mean, I'm a patent attorney, and I fell into this career path sort of through a meandering route. Worked at Boeing for 10 years as a design engineer on the 787, and found myself sort of lost in this huge big company, as many of perhaps some of your listeners or some of our entrepreneurs out there got stuck in, and chased a dream to own my own business and didn't know exactly what it was going to be. And as I was finishing up my MBA, which Boeing was nice to get me through, I was entranced by the Shark Tank, right? Shark Tank, when it first came out in the early 2000s. And what kept coming up was patents. Do you have IP? Do you have patents on that? Right? What can you show that's novel about your product or your solution? And I looked into patent law even more and realized, gosh, you've got to have an engineering background. I've got that. And you just have to have gone through law school. So there I went. I went off to law school knowing that I was going to become a patent attorney and owning my own practice. I knew I wanted to do that from the beginning. And so getting into patent law, I realized, of course, like many niches, you realize even though you're focused in one area of the law, you realize how much you don't know. And as I began to serve inventors, it became clear that, I tell clients now routinely that getting a patent does not mean making money. Okay. People do not beat a path to your door just because you have a patent granted. You've got to have a business plan. You've got to have a way to monetize, to make a dent in the universe. And so to do that, you need to have a team. You've got to be connected with advisors all over the map. And the best and closest niche I found is having a business attorney. Every entrepreneur needs to have a general counsel, someone they can go to, much like in the medical field, as your primary care physician, someone you can pick up the phone and help you with hiring a new employee, employment matters, new contract. You want to form a business, start up trademarks, someone's suing you, right? And so I realized after a couple of years into my practice of doing patents that I needed to network very closely with business law firms and business attorneys. And so I started this mission of connecting with business lawyers that were helping these startups, helping these entrepreneurs that I was also serving, and really becoming and honing in on being the specialist. Much like a knee surgeon, right? Is being that key referral partner to every general practice business attorney out there. And it was a really fantastic solution, not just to be a referral partner, but to take it to the next level and to be part of the business law firm. It was something that made sense after a while because these business law firms that would send me their clients, it was a little bit of a cold handoff. Oh, here's here's JD, he's with Bold. And I'd have to kind of start over with the client engagement process. I'd have to gain their trust again. And I would have to check in with the main business law firm. And so thus was created this of counsel, right? This of counsel role. And, which traditionally of counsels are kind of your more, near retirement sort of, part-time-ish, golfing a lot type of attorneys. But this idea that you're actually part of the business law firm and it's an extension of that business law firm and you specialize in patent law, one keeps that introduction quite warm. It allows the business law firm to make a very easy in-house referral, if you will, introduction to a colleague within their own firm. And on top of that, the host firm, which is what we call it, gets the benefit of bringing in new clients that are looking to protect their innovations with patent law. So that's kind of a really short whirlwind, Molly, into the process and how it was born. And once it started to work with the first few firms, I didn't stop. I said, gosh, no one's doing this. No other patent practitioners seem to be doing this or know how cool of a deal this is. I literally cold called for the first 2 years, and I still do. The ethical rules say you can't cold call potential clients. Attorneys can cold call other attorneys. And so I did. And I built this network of now over 100 law firms that we are now helping as of counsel and serving them and their inventors.
What I love most about this story that my mouth is just gaping open about is it started at Shark Tank. So you looked at it as an entrepreneur and had an engineering degree. And your next line was, so now I just need to go to law school. And I remember way back when on one of my earlier podcasts, I was speaking with an attorney that was talking about building a team of associates. And she said, the best piece of advice that I ever got was you just need to go to law school and pass. You don't need to be the top of your class because at the end of the day, if you're going to hang your own shingle, what you're doing is you're building a business. It's not about building a law firm. And I love this approach and the mindset that you came at this from the beginning.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it's, the old adage, what do you call the person that graduated at the bottom of their medical school? You call them doctor, right? They passed, they got through. And not to say you shouldn't try and, obviously learn as much as you can, but it's exactly right. I mean, for those that have a plan when they enter law school, I do think there's a much higher chance that they see success in that industry than those that just go into it kind of blind, hoping for the best.
Mm-hmm. And you perceive things. So the approach from you, again, going back to how you got on this journey in the first place was you were coming from this with a very, very true north. You had a very clear picture about maybe not about creating this up counsel model, but you saw a need and you really grabbed onto it and began to cultivate that and probably navigated through the rest of your journey with a very different lens, a very clear lens, and you weren't looking at it necessarily about becoming the best general lawyer, but very specific about how you're going to walk out there with a niche specific, absolutely number one, but number two of how to build a business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So go ahead. No, please.
I was going to say, I mean, I don't want to take too much credit. I didn't know what I was doing initially. I kind of went into it just, with a head of steam, with just a lot of passion and just figuring it out along the way. So by no means did I have a whole set, beautiful plan. I'm still figuring it out, how best to work with host firms. And even though I wrote a book, that doesn't mean it's the only way it could be done. There's constant improvement. There's ways to improve, make the relationship better. And laws are changing all the time. So anyway, just didn't want to make sure you understood this is a learning process.
And that's really what I wanted to grab onto, that you didn't necessarily have every piece of the puzzle and all of it laid out, which is very important for attorneys to hear. Whether I get phone calls every single day with general practitioners, newbies, people in final year of law school, and or burned out litigators, whatever it might be, saying there's got to be a better way. I'm either going to hang up shingle and go open up a hot dog cart, and or I'm going to really get niche specific within my practice. And we talked about that, like I said, on an earlier episode. But what I love the most is you saw the need, you got niche specific. Talk to us about how you began to really embrace and get deeply curious about this of counsel model.
Well, just to be super candid, it was a way to be able to do more business, to serve more inventors, to make more money. I wanted to be able to make an impact, and there's no better lead source in all of marketing than a referral. Okay, a trusted individual, professional in the industry, saying, here's someone who I believe is a good fit for you. I know them well. They're a good fit, and go have fun. Right? Those are the ones that convert the best. They're coming as they're highly qualified. And so I thought, gosh, I need to make an impact with other attorneys. And how do I get as close as I can and kind of almost, walk the ethical line, if you will, and push the limits, and sort of just see how far I could take it. Honestly, it's quite an uncomfortable conversation to have. Hey, by the way, I'm a patent attorney, and I just saw you on Google. Have you ever thought about offering patent law with your law firm? They're kind of like, who are you? It's this out of the blue question, but it's totally legit, and that they could, and in my opinion, should offer this to their current clients that have the legal need. And it's just this, whoa, wow, I guess you're right. I could do that. And, there's some things to think about, right? Malpractice insurance, and how are we going to be able to make introductions, and can we do a fee split, and how, what's your experience, and, all the other kind of fine points. But it's this concept that, this is a really cool way to work together. And we find out pretty quickly whether the person on the other end of the phone, or the owner of the business firm, is sort of open. There's really just got to be a general openness to treating your law firm like a business. That's really kind of at the heart of whether it's a go or no go with our affiliates. Are you still stuck in the old age, as I call it, in terms of you thinking of a law firm as this sort of honorable profession that's above other businesses? I believe that to be an incorrect way of thinking about the law. When I pick up the phone and ask this question of, hey, would our law firms work together? Would you ever consider, offering this new area of practice to better serve your clients? And there's just either kind of a yay or nay, kind of a feel on the phone. And sometimes hate to say it, but it does tend to be the older generation of lawyers that just are stuck with the notion that law firms are, not a business. They're more of a profession or a calling or something higher other than that. And to me, it's not. It doesn't serve clients best to sort of have that attitude, and I think it tends to sort of prolong this concept that attorneys are unapproachable, and I think it's just not helpful. So hope that makes sense. And so anyway, when conversations go well, it's someone that is just open to this concept that, hey, a law firm is a business. And sure, we've got rules and regulations to follow, much like any other, professional, dentist or doctor or CPA
Mm-hmm.
or financial advisor, right? They've got their own credentials, but we're here to do the best by the clients, and we're not here to put up a guard or hide behind marble floors or mahogany and be unapproachable and have this I'm better than you attitude. So anyway, as long as we can cut past that, it makes a whole heck of a lot of sense. And as I talk about in the book, the new bold standard, patent law isn't the only area of practice this applies to. It's a thrilling area of practice. I love it, and because it's federal, and so there are other even federal practices that can do this format. For example, immigration law is a fantastic example, or tax. Right, is a wonderful sort of add-on specialty that a general business law firm, really, in my opinion, should have the ability to serve their clients. And even if they don't have themselves the wherewithal to offer that, or their own employees, should bring on an of counsel to be able to better serve and keep within their umbrella their clients, and can keep a nose as to where those their other legal issues are being handled.
And what better way? So what I wrote down was almost like 3 major advantages in regards to adopting this model. Number 1, what I heard you say, do more business. Number 2, make more money. Number 3, serve more people and make impact. Is that not the definition of entrepreneurship?
Totally. It's fun. Absolutely. Sky's the limit.
Oh, and it's fun. Yeah. Oh, that needs to be number 4. Fun and law in the same sentence?
Fun. Yeah. You can really have fun because with technology that it enables you to truly do it. I'm doing this podcast, not from, my 20th floor legal suite, but from a Regis building, right? I don't need the fancy overhead. I can actually be of counsel to 100 law firms from my home office. It's incredible. It's truly incredible. I can be in literal, virtual or physical offices by having these types of relationships. I just encourage others to do the same.
And you have 40 offices across the country that adopt that model, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And these are firms that have sort of the same mindset, that are open to utilizing technology, treating their law firm like a business.
And I know that sometimes you'll have your clients who lead with face-to-face quality time. They'll want to meet in person in a Regis situation of some sort, or they prefer to be on Zoom, and that's just as acceptable for them. And embracing that technology and being able to adapt and adopt the methodology that speaks into your clients' listening, so you feel like you're serving them in the way that makes them build that trust and know rapport with you, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's a comfort level thing. We try to meet our clients where they're at. Most inventors, entrepreneurs, they're time poor. They're just hustling. And if there's an opportunity to avoid having to hop in their car or sit in traffic, wait in a parking lot, wait in a lobby, to just talk to an attorney when they can just flip their computer on and hit a button, they're going to do the latter. They're going to want to save time because that's everything they've got. They likely got a full-time job. This is their side hustle. Our particular sub niche is working with solo inventors and small businesses because they're just so underserved by big law. Big law serves big companies really well, but they, in my opinion, really disservice the small guy or gal because it's just not, their processes are overdone. The solo attorney or the solo inventor gets forgotten and kind of shoved aside and not serviced properly. So we've really been able to, catch these inventors and help them and provide them legal assistance first before they get lost in the big law system. Or we've also seen where they get lost and sold, by these big marketing companies, these non-legal entities. You may have heard of, the likes of Invent Help or Davison or World Patent Marketing. And in my opinion, those are actually people I'm trying to beat out. I want to get in front of them. That's why I'm as loud as I can be and putting videos out and networking as much as I do, because I want to catch people before those companies get to them. As I honestly think that inventors need legal advice first, not necessarily sales advice or business consulting advice.
Yeah. A few things I want to highlight. Number one, I can just hear our attorneys, as you spoke about earlier, wondering about the malpractice, the E&O insurance, all that legalese, if you will. And I don't really want to go into that today because that's not the place for it. But I do see that's absolutely to your point, what stops people from even embarking. Many times I'll get people's marketing plans, their 5-year, 10-year vision, and it always includes some version of, if I just lock arms with, so if you're an estate planning attorney and you don't do elder law or something of that nature, you're a bigger firm and you want to lock arms with this of counsel model, they get stuck there. They get stuck in the legalese and the business formation and all that. And what I love about what you're saying is there's a way to just assume you're going to figure that out and you're going to handle that. It's going to take some time, but don't, as they say, don't die on Logo Hill. Just assume that's going to get figured out, and they can pick your brain and what have you on how to do that. And maybe your book goes into that. But what I love that you said is that you didn't let that stop there. You put that down as one area that I got to handle all the, the ethics stuff. But you still saw a vision and kept going, and you cold called. And it's no surprise that you said, I want to be as loud as I can. And the name of your business is Bold. So, and you cold called and you were deeply curious. You saw a need and you didn't let that get you bogged down. And you just went for it and you continue to go for it. And I shared with you before we started recording that I was speaking with a trademark attorney in Pennsylvania today. And somehow your conversation, because patent and trademark go hand in hand to some extent, and your name came up, the name of your company came up, and she's like, JD, oh my God, I need to partner with him. And it just warmed my heart to see what you're doing. Like you said, my goal is to beat out all those guys and really be this boutique practice, right?
Yeah, totally cool. And it isn't that complex with the malpractice thing. If the other side of the phone, if they're asking that question, that means they're excited, and they're now it's about figuring out, okay, down to the, let's just dot our I's and cross our T's. We just simply compensate. If you should, as a host firm, if you're going to bring us on, you should add patent law to your coverage. And when you do that, if you see your premium go up, Bold will simply compensate you for any delta increase in your premium. So it's pretty awesome. Zero risk in terms of your financial outlay. That's it. That's the whole malpractice issue thing. I hear it a lot where someone will, even at the end of the call, someone will say, well, I just don't get that many patent cases that come across my desk. I'm like, well, that's because you don't offer it, or it's not on your website. You're not talking about it. And this is the opportunity to finally serve your entrepreneurs, that you're setting their businesses up for them. You're doing operating agreements. You're doing trademark registrations. You're doing everything but helping them with their innovation. And so it's sort of a nice missing piece for almost every single one of these 100 law firms. And so what I do with these host firms is I'll take my time, and if they're open to it, help them sort of dust off the knowledge of patent law. Even if they took IP law in law school, it's probably not top of mind, right? They've been helping businesses and corporate. So I give them a copy of Bold Ideas. And this is one of the main reasons why I wrote this book, Bold Ideas, The Inventor's Guide to Patents. It's very helpful for the attorney to get an idea about patent law, because they're going to be the ones that are idea spotting, issue spotting for me. And it'll be the one to help make the introduction at the right time. And one of the cool examples I use when I'm on the phone is like, well, it isn't going to take a huge shift. It's a very small, subtle shift. Is when you're talking with your business client and they mention, oh yeah, we're going to get to that contract tomorrow. I've got something I'm working on in my shop. Instead of moving on to the next line, you take a moment and say, oh, well, what are you working on? Right? Just ask that question. And that could lead to, oh, well, actually, I've got this really cool project I'm helping my brother with, and we're hoping to make it big. Let me introduce you to our Counsel, right? So just simple ways to ask questions, to listen to your clients better, to better serve them. It's going to help the whole, right? It'll help all things rise. And it's a wonderful way, not only to bring in new clients, but to bring old clients back to the table. We've helped put together many, what we call press releases. You do an old school press release or do a digital newsletter press release where you introduce a new practice area, and it brings all the old clients back. Oh, cool. Let's have a conversation. And, we'll do a free consult if they've got questions on their IP. Some of the businesses that you helped form, years ago, they're actually making widgets and they got questions. And Sure, they got patent questions, but they probably have questions about, joint venturing or merging or acquiring a company and, additional business for your core service offering. So it's a really cool thing to bring in that new conversation.
And as I'm sitting here, I think you know this about me and many conversations that we've had for 20 plus years. By and large, my bread and butter has been estate planning attorneys, right? They do asset protection, offshore planning, working with business owners, some of them that have created programs in regards to your corporate counsel, helping with minutes and high entrepreneur business clients. So I'm even sitting here thinking, I hear over and over again when I'm coaching and consulting my clients, what are some value adds? So one thing is about the business side of it, right? But from the value add and distinguishing yourself in the marketplace, if you're in a state, I'll use that because that's a common, the 6,000 plus attorneys that I shoot my podcast out that listen, by and large, are estate planning attorneys, and they're always looking to distinguish themselves in the marketplace. They're always looking to educate their clients. And to your point, I never really thought about IP. My clients don't need it. I don't need a patent. And once you hear the word, you hear this conversation, next thing you know, the next 5 clients that walk in your office, you're like, holy moly, they're a great candidate for this. And I'm just even thinking, having you on as a webinar and teaching your clients about that. Like you said, a press release, it's a way to really invigorate your database of existing clients, prospective clients that maybe need to think about it, what have you. Just another way to distinguish yourself in the marketplace, right? Yep. That's question number one. Yep. You've seen it with your other clients, where other law firms, where it's low hanging fruit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And we're, it's not that you're, out there trying to hustle for more money. You're honestly trying to help your clients see what else is out there. You're enabling them. You're being a visionary by bringing to mind all their legal issues, right? You're really being an advocate for them. And it's true. I tell this to my clients that if you're starting a company, any company, you are likely, you are creating intellectual property. You just have to be. By owning a business, you have trademark, brand you're building. You've got a name recognition on what you're selling. If you're creating anything that's visually appealing, even if it's a photograph or a website, that's copyright law. If you're creating, if you have business processes, which can include something as simple as price sheet, customer lists, those are trade secrets. Those are in-house trade secrets that should be protected as such. And if some of those innovations are processes, apparatuses, right, assemblies, they could be patentable. So it's just incredible what can unfold when you start asking the right questions and help your clients see the bigger picture.
And as you're saying that, though, I see it also, you look like you do present yourself as a multidisciplinary one-shop stop, if you will, for all your legal needs. But another thing just popped in my head. I hear this from attorneys all the time. I don't want to hire all these associates and bring them on and share all my trade secrets, and then they go and hang a shingle up down the street. I'm just even thinking about, you bring an associate in, they understand that you have this patent division, you have this up counsel, and that you do have your quote unquote trade secrets. It's, almost like that non-compete agreement, if you will, where that sweater in the suitcase, if you will, is already there to deter your associates from even thinking about taking your intellectual capital. Yeah.
I actually wrote a book on this too, just for fun. I mean, I wrote a book about how to protect your IP within a law firm, which is, I was surprised I was able to write that much, but there's a lot to talk about. The people are just surprised about. The attorneys I speak with. In a law firm setting, you have IP, and you just talked about trade secrets, right? Your way of preparing a memo, your way of communicating, the frequency, what you say, how often, your referral list, right? Those are all actual trade secrets. The way in which you approach a argument or prepare to go to, in our case, right, the way you prepare to do a patent litigation, patent trial and appeal board prep, appeal brief, right? Those are all trade secrets. And the employment documents that you prepare should be on purpose, and you should plan and manage your employees, your trusted employees, carefully, and knowing what information they have access to. But you can't be so fearful as to not decide to grow your business. You've got to be able to be forward thinking enough to maintain that market share, to stay hard charging, to stay changing with the times and all that. I've never had to do it, but I suppose if you're doing your job right, you would have grounds to go after them for misappropriation if you could show that they took trade secrets from you.
I know our listeners will absolutely want to get a copy of that book as well, because that is a common question that we get, especially on the hiring and onboarding side of our business. One last question I have for you, because I know this will be really helpful. Talk to us about the value proposition of when you are going to other law firms and becoming of this Counsel model, and how you distinguish yourself versus bringing somebody in-house and or signing these ginormous contracts where you're writing these enormous fees, et cetera. What's the value proposition that you bring to the table for when you're prospecting for potential new clients to adopt this model?
Totally. Yeah. So, we start out with, it's hard to beat the most compelling reason is a nice fee split. Okay. By having that close relationship and bringing us on as of Counsel, we're part of the same firm. And so all rules and laws about referral fees go away. It's not a referral, it's a fee split. And that's a huge paradigm shift and understanding that we're not referring business between each other. We're in the same firm, right? And that's a very close relationship. And so that should be carefully thought of before we enter into an agreement. But once we sort of agreed, you've looked me up, look our backgrounds up, you're bringing on a Ferrari, like a well-tuned patent, practitioner, a set of practitioners with different backgrounds. You don't have to interview and bring them on and vet them. You're bringing on the best. You're bringing on a boutique that can handle any patent technology area. And for you originating, for you just having a client that needs our help, you are the engaging firm. You're the one that manages that client relationship. You're the one that actually does the billing and the administration. And you set up that initial introduction. For that, we pay at least 10%. Now, it goes up all the way. We actually have one of our affiliations has a 30% split, but typically it's 20% because you're able to do more than just make those introductions. 20% is if when you put us on your website, right? You start featuring us on printed publications and you go ahead and move forward with the press release and you're actively engaging with our firm on social media. Now we're able to generate more work and we're able to compensate you accordingly, give you a higher fee split because you're able to produce more work. One or two few firms that actually go take it to the next level, they're actually generating additional traffic by putting out paid advertising for patent through their law firm, right? So they've really taken it to the next level. They love the fact that they've targeted innovation companies. They really want to be business specialists for innovation, for tech companies, and they're using patents as a magnet to bring in that type of client. Not all law firms, not all estate planning firms will want only technology clients, so that may not make sense. But if you're on board and willing to really feature that practice area on your website, on print publications, on social media, you're likely going to be in a good position to get a 20% fee split on that. So that's the most lucrative, most compelling reason. I think most attorneys kind of like, oh, okay, that's a cool deal. I like that. And of course, it goes the other way too. Oftentimes we get through our mass marketing, we're able to get clients that are in specific regions around the US, and sure, they need patent help. And so what we've done over the past 2 years, instead of us engaging with them directly, we say, well, hold on, time out. If your goal is to start a company around this product, we actually would rather you engage with our host firm here in Philadelphia or here in Tampa Bay. Let me introduce you. And so we began the engagement, not a direct with Bold, but direct with our host firm. And so they get a new client. And for doing that, we get a 20% split on any of the non-patent work that gets done by that firm. So it's a really cool way, two-way street, client origination marketing process.
And there's no risk here. So here's what I'm hearing: a few things. Number one is that it's a fee split. So they decide to bring on this area of practice and offer it up, and they're not dumping a ton of money into adding this division of their practice. Number one. Number two, until they get a paying client, there's no overhead attached to it. It's a fee split model. Number three, if you want to go as far as doing paid traffic, et cetera, which I actually have a immigration law firm that does that with an estate planning attorney, and the amount of estate planning that the immigration attorney has generated by putting paid dollar behind estate planning has been extraordinary. It's been a beautiful arrangement. To your point, almost the exact same model. And so this isn't just about patent, but I'm just showing you the proof of concept. The risk isn't there. So you do a couple deals with you see the proof of concept, you see the opportunities, the value add for the client, being seen as the expert, as a multidisciplinary practice. And then if you want, you can go as far, and there's many different avenues and offshoots of how to add this to your practice. And if you want to be like some of your bigger firms and put paid advertising behind it after you have, like I said, proof of concept, the risk, there really is no risk. I'm not hearing it.
No, it's just being able to be willing to be uncomfortable, right? Being willing to say, wow, can I really do this? And taking a step. And it's just a matter of reaching out and trusting, and being open to new concepts and trying it out. So I'm open to meeting anyone here that's listening to this podcast, go through some questions specific to your practice. I have taken a baby step with folks a lot of times that just want to sort of dip their toe in the water, and they just want to send a simple referral our way to see how we take care of their clients. Of course, more than happy to accept a simple referral, work with you closely. You can see how we work. We'll integrate you into our process. And then once you sort of see the quality of work we do, then we can take the next step and become of counsel.
I love this model. I truly believe this. I've seen it in so many different industries. I've seen it in law, and you are the trailblazer by and large in this area with building 40 offices and just how passionate you are about it. So can you tell us how our listeners can take that next step, I think right now, and work with you, and what you'd like to share with them at this point?
Totally. Well, take a look at our website, no doubt, boldip.com, and you can see who we are. Take a look at about us, take a look at my background. You can take a look at the clients that we serve that have been willing to share their client name and their background. Take a look at the patents we've gotten folks issued. They're on our website as well. For attorneys that are listening, email me, jd@boldip.com, start an email. If you want to get scheduled, and I'm rambling off a lot of digits here, but you go to www.calendly.com/bold/of counsel. And I'll send it out to you, Molly, to send out to your group. That's a Calendly, goes directly to my Google Calendar. You can set up to talk with me for 20, 30 minutes in great detail about your firm if you think you'd like to consider adding patent law to your firm's practice.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time today, JD. I think this is a good stopping point for us. In the show notes for the listeners that listen to this while they're exercising, commuting, what have you, just go to our link and you'll see in the show notes all the different ways that JD had shared on how to stay connected, how to get copies of his books. You absolutely want to invest in that. I know even if you're not considering today this of counsel model, I can promise you that it's going to pivot your thinking in regards to how you are operating your business right now, really making that 2mm shift from owning a law firm to owning a business. So JD, thank you so much for being our guest, for making an appearance today. And again, in the show notes, we'll have all the ways to connect with boldip.com. And thank you to all of our listeners out there. And JD, we look forward to having you join us again in the future.
Thanks, Molly. Take care.
Okay, great. Thank you, listeners. This has been another Hiring and Empowering podcast where legal dream teams of entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs world really do come true.